Have you ever looked into your partner's eyes and felt nothing? Not anger, not hatred, but a chilling, vacuous emptiness, as if the lights are on, but nobody is home. You try to explain complex emotions, deep spiritual longings, or your fears about the state of the world. And they look at you with a blank stare, repeating generic phrases that feel programmed rather than felt. You have spent years, perhaps decades, trying to wake them up, trying to ignite a spark of soul recognition, thinking that if you just loved them enough, they would finally get it. But they don't. And deep down, a terrifying thought has crossed your mind, one you are too afraid to voice to your friends or family because it sounds insane. The thought is, what if they aren't like me? What if they aren't fully human in the way I am? If this resonance vibrates in your bones, you are not crazy. You are waking up. We are living through the most significant shift in planetary history, a time Dolores Cannon spent her entire career mapping out through thousands of regression sessions. She warned us that as the vibrations of Earth rise, a separation would occur. But there is a specific, rarely discussed detail in her work regarding the biology of those around us, specifically regarding what scientists arrogantly call junk DNA, wishbead. For decades, mainstream science has told us that over 90% of our DNA is trash, evolutionary leftovers with no function. But Dolores Cannon's subjects, while in the deepest state of somnambulistic trance, revealed the truth. That so-called junk is not junk at all. It is the dormant hardware of divinity. It is the stargate within the biological suit. And here's the scary reveal that might explain your relationship struggles. Not everyone currently walking this planet has the capacity to activate it. You are watching this because you are exhausted. You are likely a volunteer, a soul who came here specifically to help Earth transition into the fifth dimension. You feel the frequencies changing. You feel the time compressing. But your partner, or perhaps your family members, seem to be becoming more dense, more rigid, more matrix-like. Dolores spoke about a phenomenon that is controversial but essential to understand if you want to survive this heartbreak. She spoke of the backdrop people. She spoke of biological vessels that are part of the scenery, part of the lesson, but who may not possess the individualized spark of source energy that you carry. When you try to connect with them on a soul level, you hit a wall. You aren't hitting a wall because of emotional unavailability or childhood trauma, though that is often how we rationalize it. You are hitting a wall because there is no receiver for the signal you are sending. This brings us to the terrifying concept of the DNA disconnect. The junk DNA inside you is currently coming online. It is being bombarded with cosmic rays and high-frequency light codes that are physically changing your carbon-based body into a crystalline one. This is why you are tired, why your body aches, why you have ringing in your ears. You are mutating, you are evolving. But your partner? If they are not coded for this shift, their DNA remains dormant. It remains junk. And this biological incompatibility creates a friction that goes beyond mere personality clashes. It is like trying to run the latest high-speed software on a computer built in the 1980s. It simply cannot compute. The tragedy is that you have been blaming yourself. You have been thinking, if I just heal my own shadows, my partner will ascend with me. But what if their role in your life was never to ascend with you? What if their role was to be the heavy weight that forced you to build the spiritual muscle necessary to ascend alone? We need to talk about the energy drain. When a being with activated DNA connects with a being whose DNA remains dormant, a siphon occurs. You are a generator of high-frequency light. If you're in a relationship with someone who cannot generate their own connection to source, someone Dolores might have described as part of the illusion or a younger soul, still needing the heavy density of 3D, they will instinctively feed on your light. It is not malicious, it is mechanical, it is energetic physics. You feel drained after being around them. You feel a brain fog descend when you enter the house. You find your spiritual practices are harder to maintain when they are in the room. This is because your field is constantly trying to upgrade their field, but their hardware, their junk DNA, is not built to receive the upgrade. You are pouring water into a cup with no bottom. Dolores Cannon found that many of these relationships were set up before birth, in the spirit side, as a test of discernment. We often think soul contracts are about happily ever after, but in the convoluted universe, we learn that the most difficult contracts are the ones that force us to let go. You agreed to come into this life and partner with someone who would remain asleep. Precisely so, you would learn to stop looking for validation outside of yourself. You wanted to see if you could maintain your frequency in the presence of a void. But now the time for testing is over. The frequencies are becoming too high. The Earth is splitting into two distinct realities, and the bridge between the world of the activated DNA and the world of the dormant DNA is collapsing. You are feeling the panic of this separation. You look at them and you grieve because you sense that where you're going, they cannot follow. And it is not because they are bad. It is because their biology, their very frequency, is tuned to a station that is going off the air. To truly grasp why this is happening, we must dive into the deepest waters of the metaphysical data Dolores Cannon brought forth in her later work, specifically in the Convoluted Universe series. When she communicated with the subconscious, that massive, all-knowing force that speaks through the subject, it revealed that the human body is essentially a suit. It is a biological vehicle designed to navigate this dense physical density. But not all suits are occupied in the same way. The junk DNA that scientists dismiss is actually the multidimensional wiring that connects the suit to the soul and to the universal Internet of knowledge. When that DNA is unplugged or dormant, the being is operating on what we might call automatic pilot. Dolores famously described the concept of backdrop people. Imagine you are on a movie set. You have the lead actors, the ones with complex lines, emotions, and character arcs. These are the beings with fully activated soul contracts and the potential for DNA activation. But then, to make the scene look realistic, you need extras. You need people walking in the background, filling the stadium seats, driving the cars on the highway. These entities are part of the hologram. They are biological, they are alive in a biological sense, but they do not carry the individual spark of the Creator in the same way you do. They are part of the collective consciousness of the planet, the furniture of the matrix. This is the hardest pill to swallow for an empath. You look at your partner, someone you have shared a bed with, shared children with, and the idea that they might be a backdrop entity feels cruel. But look at the evidence. Do they change? Do they evolve? Or do they simply loop? When you try to discuss the shifting of the ages, the new frequencies, or the spiritual evolution of humanity, do they look at you with a glossed-over expression, almost as if their programming has encountered an error code? This is the junk DNA barrier. Your DNA is vibrating at a rate that is literally tuning you out of their reality. You are becoming invisible to them, and they are becoming incomprehensible to you. The subconscious explained to Dolores that many volunteers, the souls who came from other dimensions, planets, and the Source itself, to help Earth, were specifically assigned to these dormant partners. Why? It seems like a punishment, doesn't it? To be an eagle tied to a rock. But in the logic of the higher realms, it was a strategic move. By anchoring yourself next to a dense, low-vibrational being, you act as a frequency stabilizer. You agreed to be the lighthouse in the darkest corner of the harbor. If all the volunteers only married other volunteers, we would have created a paradise bubble and left the rest of humanity to rot. You went into the trenches. You married the density to heal it from the inside out. However, the mechanism of this control is often managed through the DNA. The junk DNA in your partner acts as a limiter. It keeps them focused entirely on the 3D illusion, politics, money, survival, fear, and social status. These are the programs of the old earth. When you try to introduce concepts of the new earth, unconditional love, telepathy, manifestation, it triggers a defense mechanism in their biology. They might get angry, they might mock you, or they might simply shut down. This is not them rejecting you personally. This is their biological suit, rejecting a frequency it was not designed to process. It is like trying to load a high-definition 8K video onto a floppy disk. The hardware rejects the data. But here's the pivot, the moment where you must take back your power. You were not tricked into this relationship. In the spirit side, before you dropped into this heavy atmosphere, you sat in the planning room. You looked at the timeline of Earth. You saw that 2024, 2025, and 2026 would be the critical juncture, the splitting of the worlds. And you said, I am strong enough to handle a sleeper partner. You said, I will go down there and I will awaken myself, despite the heaviness next to me. The problem is, many of you have gotten lost in the role. You have confused your mission, holding light, with your method, trying to change your partner. You have spent years trying to activate their junk DNA for them, trying to force them to wake up so you wouldn't have to feel so alone. But the subconscious teaches us that you cannot override another being's free will, nor can you override their biological capacity. If they are a backdrop person or a young soul not ready for the shift, no amount of crying, begging, or explaining will turn on their DNA codes. It is not their time. And this leads to the most crucial realization found in Dolores's archives, the mirror effect. Your partner's dormant DNA is reflecting your own fears of stepping into your power. Their silence is forcing you to find your own voice. Their lack of depth is forcing you to dive deeper into your own soul. They have played their role perfectly. They provided the resistance you needed to build your spiritual strength. Just as a weightlifter needs heavy iron to build muscle, you needed a heavy partner to build the spiritual mass required to graduate to the new earth. You are now reaching the point where the weight is no longer needed. The muscle is built. The lesson is learned. And the universe is asking you the ultimate question: are you ready to put the weight down? As we look toward the horizon of 2026 and beyond, we are entering the phase that Dolores Cannon called the splitting of the worlds. For years, this was a theoretical concept, a chapter in a book that we read with curiosity. But now, you are feeling it in your living room. You are feeling it in your bed. The vibrational gap between the awakened DNA and the dormant junk DNA is becoming a chasm that no amount of love or therapy can bridge. We are moving into a time of vibrational physics where two frequencies that are too dissimilar simply cannot occupy the same space. This is why relationships are ending abruptly. This is why people are suddenly moving out, changing jobs, or seemingly disappearing from your life. The magnetics of the new earth are pulling the activated souls into a new timeline, and the density of the old earth is anchoring the others in theirs. So, what is the solution? How do you navigate this without guilt, without feeling like you are abandoning a sinking ship? The answer lies in the transmutation of your attachment. You must understand that your partner's inability to activate their junk DNA is not a failure. It is a choice made at a soul level. They may have chosen to remain in the 3D school to continue learning lessons of duality, conflict, and limitation. If you try to drag them with you into the fifth dimension, you are effectively violating their free will. You are trying to force a kindergartner to attend university. It is not an act of love to force them to wake up. It is an act of fear, your fear of moving forward alone. The new earth demands that you become a master of detachment. This does not mean you stop loving them. It means you stop needing them to be different. You must begin to view your partner with the eyes of the observer. When they speak from their programming, when they react with fear, when they cannot comprehend your light, simply say to yourself, that is their path. Do not engage. Do not lower your frequency to meet them in an argument. Every time you lower your vibration to prove yourself to a sleeper, you are putting your own DNA activation on pause. You are clogging your own receiver. The most compassionate thing you can do is to hold your light so brightly, so unyieldingly, that one of two things will happen. Either they will miraculously rise to meet you because the dissonance is too uncomfortable, or, more likely, they will naturally vibrate out of your reality. This is the mechanics of the shift. Dolores often used the analogy of a train leaving the station. You are on the train. The conductor has blown the whistle. The wheels are turning. Your partner is standing on the platform. For a long time, the train was moving slowly enough that you could reach out your hand and hold theirs. You could run alongside each other. But now, the train is picking up speed. The train is the frequency of the new Earth. It is accelerating into a dimension of instant manifestation and telepathic connection. If you refuse to let go of the hand on the platform, you will be dragged off the train. You will be pulled back into the drama, the chaos, and the karmic loops of the old Earth. You have to let go of the hand. You have to wave goodbye with love, honoring the role they played in your awakening. You must realize that the junk DNA within you has come alive. It is singing a new song. It is rebuilding your body from carbon to crystalline. You are becoming a different species. This is why you feel so alien, so homesick for a place you cannot remember. You are transforming into a being of light, and a being of light cannot remain tethered to the shadows of the old paradigm. The guilt you feel is the last vestige of the 3D matrix trying to hook you back in. Let it go. You have served your contract. You have anchored the light. You have passed the test. As we approach this critical threshold, know that you are not ending up alone. You are making space. By releasing the energy of the dormant relationship, you create a vacuum that the universe must fill. There is a soul family waiting for you, beings who recognize you, beings whose DNA hums in harmony with yours, beings who do not need you to explain why you are the way you are, because they are just like you. They are the other volunteers. They are gathering now. The reunion is beginning. But you cannot meet them if your hands are full, carrying the dead weight of the past. You are safe. You are guided. You are exactly where you are supposed to be. The separation is painful, yes, but it is the pain of birth. You are being born into a new world. Do not look back at the shell you have outgrown. Look forward. The new Earth is not a place you go to. It is a frequency you become. And you are ready. If this message resonated with your soul, if you felt the truth of it in your heart center, then you are one of us. You are part of this grand transition. I invite you to join our growing family of awakened souls by subscribing to this channel. Together, we are building the bridge. Together, we are remembering. Welcome home.